Hey, this is Justin with DayTradeTheMarkets.com. It's Wednesday, January 20th. We had just a wild day today in the index markets, and I wanted to focus in on the second half of the day and talk about the kind of the three clues that lined up right in a row that kind of gave away the market's hand, if you will. And we had this rally from high to low of about 65 points. So I mean, just we're talking big time stuff here today. Um, early in the day we had opened from much higher, and we had sold off and actually sold off and gotten below this low at 1813.50, which is a pretty major low from August of last year. If we just look, let me just bring a daily chart over there to give you a little bit of a handle on that. We have, here was there's some news in China last August, if you recall. We just had this huge sell-off from 2100 all the way down here, and then we spent the rest of the year basically in 2015 kind of eating that back up and rallying back up. You can see that when we then tested above that high a couple times in November and December, we had a hard time doing anything with it, and we kind of meandered around for a while, but started this year, it's just been a straight sell-off. And today we finally reached the low right here at 1350. So obviously we want to take that into account. That could be major potential support. So we want to be monitoring this area obviously at 1350, okay? That level, which I've got with this blue line. Okay, so now as we test into this, you can see we break below it with a level 2 and then a high velocity or strong and then a high velocity move and then a level 3 selling aggression bar. So it's looking like, wow, okay, these sellers are really going to take the bull by the horns and actually push lower than 1350. Now what ends up happening is a little bit of a kind of a small clue. We had this buying bar that came in that at least and took out the high of this level 3 bar. So that's at least what we call a red flag. But until, the way I look at it, we had this wave of selling here, okay? And the expectation would be that at a minimum we're going to come back to 50% of that or maybe all the way up to the high of that. And then we should give this another go to see if we can make new lows. And if these sellers are strong, which they appear to be, they should be able to make new lows and drive us lower even further. However, we have this level 2 bar, but it has no follow through and it can't even make new lows. So we didn't even make a one tick new low here and it failed. This bar had its high taken out. So that's again another pretty big red flag. It's not telling us necessarily, so don't get me wrong, this is not saying, oh, at that point we know it's going to rally. We don't know at that point that it's going to rally by any means, but it is giving us a little bit of cause for concern. It's a red flag is what I like to call it. So we had, if we kind of look at this, let me slow this down. We've got the rally below 1350. The sell-off below 1350 here. Okay, the first red flag, again, nothing to panic about, but the first red flag is we do have a little buying that comes in. Then the second red flag is we can't make new lows on this attempt to make new lows. So sometimes the failure of the sellers to do something means it's like if, a football game where one team has the ball and, they run with it, they can't go anywhere with it, they turn it over, now the other team has a chance to run with the ball. Okay, so the sellers, couldn't do anything with it and they turned the ball back over to the buyers. They step back in, but we still have to see what's going to happen at this 1350 and the high of this wave, basically. If the sellers are strong, they should be able to stem this tide and give it another go toward the low. In fact, that's exactly the opposite of what happened. So this red flag became a very strong warning when we not only broke above this wave of selling, we broke above this 1350 area, and not only that, but we broke above it on this level 3 or extreme buying aggression bar. Okay? So at this point, we've kind of got another wave of buying from in here, okay? And in other words, it's saying, well, where we broke out of this selling area down here, we're back above 1350. Where we also started this really good wave of buying is basically around 1350. So that's telling us this 1350 area from both a bigger picture level and from the structure where this selling got taken out and this buying really began with extremeness. I know that's not a word, but I hope that makes sense. And then the selling failed here. Buying came in really extreme here, and it also happens to coincide with this 1350 level. In other words, it's saying this is a really important place. This is kind of the make or break time, at least for this day. So what happens when we come back down here and test it? Well, no selling, there's a couple options. Sellers could come in real strong and drive it to new lows, Or what ended up happening is we had this level 3 extreme buying aggression bar and a high velocity move that came in. So not only did buyers step back up at this level, in other words, sellers couldn't do anything with it, and buyers stepped in a big way. It happened again to coincide with this thing. It happened to coincide with the failure of this selling move lower. And again, that's what trading is. It's nuance. It's putting pieces together. There's no black and white. It's trying to put these pieces together. But when you put those three pieces together, red flags down here, failure of sellers to move lower, failure of these, sellers to keep it below 1350, the buying that came in really extreme, and then when we retested this level, more buying came in that was extreme, this level 3. So these clues are basically saying, hey, buyers have just, this, you can see it in real time. Buyers are saying, we got this. This is ours. We're going to take this. So at a minimum, they're going to take it up to here, and then we see what happens here. Well, buyers stepped in again. Here's more level 2 buying and a high velocity move. We have a little mini battle here where the buyers and sellers kind of fight each other, and the market goes sideways for an hour. But essentially, the buyers had stepped up in here, and they say, we are in control. And until something changes, until sellers can really come in with some extreme selling, we've just got to assume the buyers are going to keep going. And you can see more buying aggression here, really strong. And then we start to see the sellers come in on an extreme level, and this stems that 65-point rally, and we sell off, another, it doesn't look like much, but that's a 20-point sell-off from there, okay? So the point I'm trying to make here, let me get rid of these arrows. I know I go a little crazy with these arrows and circles. Ellipse and arrow. The point I'm trying to make is you could see when you combine the bigger picture, this bigger picture level, with structure, selling, extreme selling failure, extreme buying takeover, extreme buying on the retest, that's the clue, as well as these kind of red flags down here. Those are the clues that are saying these buyers are for real. This is not, this is not a test, people. This is not a drill. This is for real. The buyers are in control, and until otherwise noted, they've got a hold of this market. I would not have expected it to rally this far, but when I said until otherwise noted, that didn't really come in until up here where we started to get some extreme selling. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. I just wanted to kind of illustrate the clues and how successful trading is not just about following some system. It's really about being able to make sense of the clues as they're happening. And the better your tools, certainly we think this is a good tool, the better you're going to be able to make sense of that. It's not an immediate thing. It takes time to learn, but it should start to make sense. So let us know if you have any questions on that, and we'll talk soon. Thanks.